This is Sunrise Extra, streaming live on Wave Now.
Hey, good Monday morning to you. Thanks for sticking with us here for Sunrise Extra on Wave Now. Hope you had a great weekend. Did you all have a great weekend?
I went to Creep Fest at Caulfield's.
Ooh,
it was a blast.
yeah.
And it was really scary.
Really creepy.
There's some really good costumes. Yes,
What
incredible.
about you, Tawana? Because you did some fun stuff on Saturday.
Yeah, you know me. I was cheering very, very loud, front row. Yeah, it was a good
At the
old
Lou
time.
City
At the
game.
Lou City game.
Yeah, fill the fan.
With 13,000 of my closest friends.
Awesome.
You know how it goes.
Hey, they filled it.
They definitely did. Not the second biggest crowd ever for Lynn Family Stadium. So let's see if we can keep that going for the rest of the season for sure. For those of you maybe planning for today, whether or not cheering on any of those teams for today, we are keeping an eye on those temperatures in the 60s and the low 70s. So warm, muggy, a typical summer morning as we are watching those clouds overhead in some spots and sunshine in others. So we're seeing more of the sunshine for those of you west of 65 with a couple of those isolated downpours firing up right along the Bluegrass Parkway, anywhere from near Balltown over towards Booker and into the northern portions of Washington County. For those of you in Grayson County, you do have one of those downpours south of Litchfield and a couple of areas of drizzle showing up in Magnolia. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that over the next 12 hours. Going to watch for a few more of those isolated downpours this morning. A better chance for a few of those downpours later on this afternoon, with highs today in the upper 80s and the low 90s. So certainly one of those typical summer days. Now, for those of you who want a little bit more rainfall, I'll let you know when that will arrive in my full forecast.
Thanks, Tawana. This morning, a man who police say kidnapped a woman and children, then robbed a bank in St. Matthews, will be in court.
It comes as some state lawmakers say he should never have been out of jail in the first place. Armand Langford will be arraigned on kidnapping, robbery, and assault charges. Police say he broke into the family's home Friday and took a woman and 2 children hostage. Investigators say he held the woman at knife point and forced her to drive him to the PNC Bank on Shelbyville Road. Police say he then robbed the bank and went on the run for hours before being arrested.
The Wave troubleshooters discovered Langford has been sentenced to 14 years in prison in February of 2024 for burglary, but he only served 5 months of his sentence before a judge granted him 5 years of shock probation in mid-July. Republican State Representative Jared Bauman says Langford should not have been out of jail and blames Judge Jessica Green for approving the probation. Bauman says changes made to time served laws in the Safer Kentucky Act will prevent this from happening again.
If we apply some good common sense decision making to whether or not we release violent individuals back into our community, then this crime does not happen. We shouldn't need House Bill 5 to know that letting someone out after serving 5 months of a 14-year sentence for violent crimes is just inexcusable and dangerous.
We've reached out to Judge Jessica Green in the case, who granted Langford shock probation. She declined to comment. Happening now, New Albany police are searching for a man who allegedly attacked a woman.
Police say it happened downtown Friday night. It was near a building on Oak Street. The woman told police she'd been shopping at Circle K on the corner of State and Spring Street, left the store and then went north on State Street on her bike. That is when she says a man knocked her off a bike and forced her to a building on Oak Street and started touching her. She screamed and was able to escape. She was treated for minor injuries. The victim described the suspect as a black male with a medium build, about 5'5", with a goatee. He was wearing black sweatpants and a black hoodie. If anyone has information, call New Albany Police.
Today, JCPS district leaders will discuss the future impact of federal funding cuts. The JCPS Revenue Advisory Task Force is hosting a special meeting at the Van Hoos Education Center tonight at 5:30. The agenda for the meeting says there will be a discussion on potential revenue sources to address the district's critical needs. At a school board meeting back in May, former Superintendent Dr. Marty Polio warned board members that $50 million will need to be cut from the district's budget in 2 years. That's when the district will run out of federal COVID-19 relief funds. Tomorrow, the new superintendent of JCPS wants to hear what changes you want to see in the district. Superintendent Dr. Brian Yearwood is hosting his community conversation series tomorrow at Valley High School. That's at 5:30 on Tuesday. Like the previous conversations, parents, students, and the community can stop by to ask Dr. Yearwood any questions. And thousands of students across Wave Country country are going back to school this week. Today is the first day of school for Breckinridge County Schools and Holy Cross High School. Tomorrow, Bullitt County Schools return to class. Oldham and Nelson County Schools have their first day on Wednesday, and you can find a full list of back-to-school dates on wave3.com.
This morning, a southern Indiana man accused of killing his wife will be arraigned on murder charges. Police say Stephen Gower told investigators his wife Christina committed suicide. She was found shot to death at the couple's home on Charlestown New Market Road in Clark County. Investigators immediately noticed the evidence did not match his story, and Gower admitted they were both drinking and fighting over messages on her phone from another man. The autopsy found the gun was at least 3 feet away from Christina when it was fired, which rules out a suicide. New this morning, a man's in jail after police say he stole 2 Corvettes from the assembly plant in Bowling Green. Daedrin Cook faces several charges, including robbery, engaging in organized crime, and wanton endangerment. Police say he stole 2 Corvettes from the General Motors plant in Bowling Green on Friday. Cook was caught driving one of the stolen cars in Bowling Green, and the other vehicle was located about 3 hours away in Martin County, Indiana. This is the second heist at the plant this year. At least 1 man was arrested after 8 Corvettes were stolen in March. Ford executives heading to Louisville today in what is being described as a Model T moment. It's all part of a plan to unveil a new electric vehicle development strategy.
Wave News reporter Rob Wells is tracking what we could see at the Louisville assembly plant. Rob?
Shannon and Olivia, that plan we've learned will help position Ford to make money selling electric cars against its current competition with China. Ford announcing that move during a call with top executives in late July. Today, Ford CEO Jim Farley will be in town unveiling what he's calling a plan to design, then finally build a breakthrough type of vehicle in the electric world. A big question, how will this affect the 2,300 line workers at the company's facility on Fern Valley Road? Tom Dunn, president of the United Auto Workers Local 862, saying that the union is aware that the retool project is expected to begin in December. The switchover, we've learned, is going to take about 8 to 10 months before production of that new vehicle actually begins. Dunn adding that some line workers will be out during the retooling project and are expecting workers who are on a temporary layoff to receive 70 to 75% of their pay through a combination of unemployment and subpay. As far as the brand new vehicle itself, Dunn has said that the union has been told an all-electric vehicle will be made at the Louisville plant. Dunn saying that the short-term concern right now is that workers receive as much detail as possible and continue to work toward a return to work with all the employees being utilized. Of course, we'll bring you details as we learn them today during the news conference. Rob Wells, Wave News.
Rob, thank you. Kentucky Attorney General Russell Coleman is issuing a new warning about a drug he calls designer Xanax. Coleman is urging state health officials to ban the drug called bromazolam. The Attorney General says the substance can be passed off as prescription Xanax and is sold both online and on the street. Health leaders warn it can be highly potent and deadly, especially when combined with other drugs like opioids. According to the State Office of Drug Control Policy, bromazolam is associated with at least 47 deaths in Kentucky in 2024. Metro Council member Ben Reno Weber is making a new push to control the level of noise coming from popular spots in the Highlands. Reno Weber is hosting a community sound study meeting tonight. That's at 6 o'clock at Big Bar on Bardstown Road. Reno Weber says the goal of the meeting is to find a balance between vibrant nightlife and peaceful living on Bardstown Road and Baxter Avenue. That meeting will feature live sound demonstrations, interactive sound tests, and open discussion on the impact of noise in the community. The meeting is open to the public, but you must be at least 21 years old to attend.
Coming up, the Kentucky State Fair starts this week.
And we're going to talk to organizers about that fair and a new vendor you can expect to see out there. Stick with us. Well, get ready. The Kentucky State Fair kicking off this Thursday. I just love the State Fair. All the local businesses that are out there, too, including Cornbread Hemp. So we have Eric Zipperly with Cornbread Hemp and then Ian Cox with Kentucky State Fair and Kentucky Venues. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning.
For having us.
Okay, so let's start with Eric here because you have quite the arrangement here of your Cornbread Hemp products. Tell us a little bit about your company.
Yeah, so Cornbread Hemp started in 2018. My cousin Jim Higdon wrote a book called The Cornbread Mafia, which is where that name comes from. And we started in gummies. We've been making CBD gummies, certified organic CBD gummies for 7 years. And just in the past 3 months, we released our new THC beverages made from Kentucky grown hemp, just like the rest of our products. And these are now available in Cox's, Total Wine, Liquor Barn, Evergreen, basically all the liquor stores around Kentucky.
And they're legal to drink.
They're legal. Thank you for pointing
Yes.
that out. There's 5 milligrams in THC in each can, which is below the 0.3% limit for hemp products, which is how we're able to now sponsor the Kentucky State Fair and have them available for sale at the fair.
And what does it do to you?
So it's a great alternative to alcohol. It is relaxing. It makes you feel happy and just like you're having a good time without the hangover and without the calories. It's 30 calories, 5 grams of sugar.
Look at my face.
It's like, oh,
Got
I'm
Shannon's
interested.
attention on that one. Yeah, and people really enjoy the fact that it doesn't make them feel worse in the process of helping them feel a little bit better.
Right. Wow. Cool. Okay, Ian, what are some of the big highlights for this year's fair, the big performers?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the planning because there's hundreds of different things going on each day. We have a brand new app for the Kentucky State Fair. You can actually open that app and see what's around at each spot of we have 11 different spaces, and inside those areas there's dozens of stages. So being able to build your schedule out and take a look at that before you visit will make sure that you show up on time for the rooster crowing contest or sister sledge. So there's
cool.
a wide range of activities that you can look at
We're
online.
looking for a rooster to sponsor right now. We really are.
Is it a person who's in the rooster crowing, or it's an actual rooster?
Oh, it's an actual rooster.
Okay.
And it's
I don't
our
know.
oldest. It's our oldest competition that happens at the fair. And I won't spoil the fun. I think you should come early morning and see that.
Yeah. What time is that one at?
So it's right around 7 or 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when the roosters are crowing.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
smart. I mean, and how do you switch things up each year to make it different, a different experience for everyone who's heading out there? Because, I mean, for some of us who grew up in Louisville, we're used to this, but you keep it fresh.
It's a good tradition to go back and see the things that you grew up seeing. It's also nice creating the new experiences. Things like Cornbread Hemp bringing their products to the table, doubling the amount of seating outside, and then thinking about what we can do to spotlight Kentuckians. So this year, over 25,000 entries will be littered about inside the property. We're going to have people winning the first time in a barbecue tasting competition.
Ooh.
We're going to have barrel staves being made in woodworking. We have pistachio cookies being
Yum.
dropped off today that will be judged, and it will be the first pistachio cookie getting a blue ribbon. So think about that, how exciting it'll be
Pistachio cookie.
taking that home.
Huh. And you can do some good shopping too at the fair, right? I mean, yeah.
Some of us get
a lot
carried
things,
away.
A lot of things that you don't find anywhere else.
Yeah, there is a maple syrup that I go back for now, and they have a product that you can put in the fridge, and it's basically like it feels like a scrub, but it's a delightful addition to like a pancake or a waffle. And so I find myself now, this is my 8th year being in this role with the team, and I find that the budget does go a little over.
Right. I thought you were going to say the scrub that you put it on your face.
You can if you want.
Yeah.
Now they
then
do
lick
have
it off.
pickles as well. Like
That's
you can
what
go.
Michaela always gets,
Yeah,
one
it's
of our
our producer.
producers. She
Yeah.
gets buckets of pickles at the fair.
Yeah, we find that, and we're monitoring the social, and so we get a lot of alerts like, where's the pickle lady? Is her name? Yeah, that's one of the 2 that are there. But fudge is a timeless
Oh, yeah, of
component
course.
there. And, if we were to remove fudge, there would be an uproar.
Yeah,
So
yes.
we all look for something new, and I encourage this activation that Cornbread Hemp's bringing to the fair is going to be a lot of fun. I think building that string light garden area
Oh, that sounds
outside
pretty.
by the fountain is exactly what we need for these hot days.
Shade over there
Thank you.
too.
Yeah, that's nice. All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you at the fair.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And speaking of that hot weather Tawana weekend, definitely expect to see that at the fair. We do every year.
We do every year. And for those of you maybe trying out some of those cornbread hemp drinks for the first time and you're heading out there, fair, or maybe you're trying to find the pickle lady or trying to, dive into some fudge, all good options. We're going to be seeing the heat building through the weekend, especially this is when we'll see more of those mid-90s when a lot of people will be out at the fair. For Thursday, the beginning of the fair, we are keeping an eye on rain chances, but those look pretty isolated. Speaking of rain chances, we did have one downpour move through the Bardstown area earlier this morning. Still a little bit wet on the roads, but looking a lot more pleasant overhead as you're seeing more of that sunshine coming your way. So speaking of those isolated downpours, we're still seeing them pushing gradually to the east. A little bit of that light rain just to the south of Bardstown, so we're watching that. A few more pockets of some heavier rainfall right along the Bluegrass Parkway and just to the northwest of Willisburg. Keeping an eye on that one downpour that has been slowly trying to drift towards Litchfield. But overall, things are pretty quiet this morning. We still have high pressure in control, but we are going to get more of that Gulf moisture coming into play, especially as we have this front that's off towards our northwest moving our way. It's the same system, by the way, that brought all that heavy rainfall towards portions of Wisconsin, that just record-breaking rain. Here's the thing, though. We're not looking at that sort of scenario here at home, but we could still see some locally heavy rainfall for sure. In the 60s and low 70s this morning, we'll end up in the low 90s this afternoon as we keep a close eye on those isolated rain chances. We'll watch for a few of these still popping this morning, but as we get a little bit closer to that 8-9 o'clock time frame, those will fade. We'll keep an eye on additional isolated thunderstorms moving into our region for later on this afternoon. These can produce locally heavy rain, some gusty winds that will fade overnight into early tomorrow morning. Here is your 10-day. We'll be talking about more of that heat around for the weekend, but really focused in on the front moving towards us and then that Gulf moisture meeting it right in the Ohio Valley. This is why we're talking about scattered showers and thunderstorms getting into tomorrow afternoon. We'll see that rain chance lingering into Wednesday as well. And while we may not have as much of that tropical moisture around on Thursday, we're still going to keep an eye on the potential for a few isolated downpours then. Cannot rule that out. Some locally heavy rainfall will be a concern for each of those days before we see the drier weather, before we see the heat for the weekend, and then by next Tuesday and Wednesday, another set of systems can bring additional rounds of rain back into our forecast and help to cool us down.
Drivers now have full use of River Road from Zorn Avenue to Prospect. It's something that has not been available for months due to construction. Friday, the Louisville Water Company announced it paused construction on its residual line project. It is considered a critical infrastructure project that delivers clean and safe drinking water across the city of Louisville. But it is creating a headache for some businesses. After the project started in March, we spoke with the general manager of River Road Barbecue, who said sales plummeted from an average of 140 transactions to just 20 one day during construction. While she says numbers for this summer are slowly bouncing back, they're still not where they typically are.
I think everyone's just relieved. You know, this is, like I said, this has been the most challenging year we've ever had, but I know we're not alone in that. So I know that there's going to be a lot more road construction aside from the River Road tear up, and so we're just all hoping for the best, and all we can do is get the word out and be ready.
Construction is set to resume September 2nd. The entire project is expected to be completed next summer.
A new musical about country music legend Dolly Parton is being performed in Nashville.
This musical is based on Dolly's life, and it has a lot of her original songs and hits. The show premiered Friday at Belmont's Fisher Center for the Performing Arts. It's also based on a book by Dolly and Maria S. Schlatter. Parton says it was important to have the musical run start in Nashville because that's where she calls home.
It means everything to me because why not? I mean, it's like I'm going to tell my story. I mean, I can take it to New York, but to tell a country girl's story about country music and just about my life, I've lived here since 1964 and spent years coming in and out trying to make it. But it's just important because it's home, and if you can do anything for home, people know that much about me. I thought, well, this would be a wonderful place to start the show.
The show will run in Nashville for 4-week limited engagement before heading to Broadway in 2026. May have to take a trip to New York to see that show.
Well, you know, Nashville has its own Broadway, but I cannot imagine there are any kind of performances like that happening out on Broadway in Nashville.
Yeah.
You see anything on Broadway in Nashville.
So true. We'll be right back.
This Wave News Update is sponsored by Oxmoor Auto Group.
Good morning, I'm Shannon Kogan. Today, JCPS district leaders will discuss the future impact of federal funding cuts. The JCPS Revenue Advisory Task Force is hosting a special meeting at the Van Hoos Education Center tonight. Starts at 5:30. An agenda for the meeting says there will be a discussion on potential revenue sources to address the district's critical needs. At a school board meeting back in May, former Superintendent Dr. Marty Polio warned board members $50 million will need to be cut from the district's budget in 2 years. That is when the district will run out of federal COVID-19 relief funds. Let's go to Tawana. How are we starting off this week?
We are starting off this week warm and muggy, and a choice few are getting in a couple of isolated downpours. This is a really cool sunrise showing up in Bardstown, where you have some of that light rain still going on, plus that sun trying to get through the clouds, so making for an interesting shot there. Let's talk about that rain that we are seeing in portions of Nelson County. Been keeping an eye on a couple of these downpours right now in between Bardstown and Balltown, so keeping an eye on that, and another batch just to the north of Booker, right along the Bluegrass Parkway, so keep that in mind if you typically travel in that area. South of Litchfield, the downpours that we were watching there, one has fizzled, but then we have another one slowly making its way back into Grayson County. Temperature-wise, we're sitting in the 60s and the low 70s across the region for this morning. Over the next 12 hours, we'll end up in the upper 80s and low 90s for this afternoon as we watch for some additional downpours coming our way then. Rob?
Okay, Tawana, keeping an eye on the roadways at 728. Typical slowdowns in your trouble spots. Otherwise, no major accidents to report for you this morning. Don't forget a reminder, some of the school districts still heading back today, so you want to give yourself some time and patience out there on the roadways. Make it a great Monday.
Hello and happy Monday. Hope everyone had a great and relaxing weekend, able to catch up on sleep and all those other responsibilities that you had to take care of over the weekend. But as we know, it has been a hot summer. And imagine not having air conditioning during these heat waves. That's been the reality for several residents at Beecher Terrace Apartments who reached out to us for help. Wave News reporter Julia Richardson talked with those residents about what they're going through.
We try not to be here as much as possible.
Right now, Jamisha Howard's apartment is basically unlivable. She says this all started in mid-July when she noticed her air conditioning had shut off. Turning the breaker on and off proved unsuccessful. So she called her management company, McCormick Barron Salazar's emergency line. She was told to go to the building's office, where someone said the HVAC company would not be there until the next week.
Monday came and they called me. I wasn't here. And he was like, well, we're here to put in your AC unit. Where would you like us to put it? And at first I was confused. I was like, well, it's a portable AC unit. And he was like, it's the only thing we can do for now, and we can't come out and fix it. It's just temporary.
Besides bringing her a portable AC unit and a couple of fans, Howard says she hasn't heard anything definite from her management company about a permanent fix. She says she and her 3-year-old daughter have felt the impacts.
Most of the time, we have to sleep on this couch. Wake up, side hurting, neck hurting, like, all because this is the coolest area.
While it's been a couple of weeks without AC for Howard and others in her building, some in the Beecher Terrace senior apartments across the street have been waiting even longer. Teresa Duncan tells me she noticed her AC was having problems back in April. She waited until May to call management.
And then what did they say when you called?
We'll be there to see to it. And then they bought me a unit.
That unit, like Howard's, is a portable one. Duncan says although she called in May, management did not bring her that unit until the end of June.
And so that's all they've done?
In one room, but you need air throughout the whole apartment.
Now in August, Duncan's AC still hasn't been fixed. And she's not the only one in the senior building with that problem. Another resident, Elnora, told me her AC has been out the whole summer, and management only brought her a portable unit 2 days ago.
Been burning up, sweat, had to take a shower 3 times a day.
Elnora is one of several residents in that building who uses a walker or a wheelchair. Multiple residents are also on oxygen. Now they just want something done, concerned about the health of everyone in the building.
If they got their hand out for their rent, they should have their hand out to make these people's life more easier to live with. It don't make no sense. It don't.
And we reached out to McCormick Barron Salazar's emergency line, as well as sent the company an email for a comment, but so far we have not heard back. A teenager accused of firing a gun near a JCPS bus stop on the first day of school is now facing 34 charges. Police will not release the teenager's name because he's only 15 years old. Those shots were fired Thursday morning on West Chestnut Street near the YMCA. No one was hit by those bullets, but several kids waiting for the bus stop heard the gunfire. The teenage suspect faces 33 counts of wanton endangerment and 1 gun charge. One of the teenagers accused of setting a fire at Moore High School is in jail on a $50,000 bond. 18-year-old Caleb Pierce is charged with arson, burglary, and criminal mischief. He was arrested Friday, accused of setting the August 1st fire with a juvenile co-defendant. JCPS says some of the classrooms inside the Moore Medical Arts building are unusable because of smoke damage. Repairs are expected to cost about $1 million. The search continues for a 10-year-old boy from Breathitt County a week after he went missing. Police were told Jaden Spicer went to bed Tuesday night but couldn't be found anywhere Wednesday morning. As the days go by, more agencies have gotten involved with the search, including Kentucky State Police. Alyssa Williams has the latest on the search efforts.
You know, we work missing persons cases all the time, but when you're talking about a 10-year-old child, it hits different, and you know it's a lot rougher on everybody.
Search efforts are continuing for 10-year-old Jaden Spicer. Kentucky State Police Trooper Matt Gayhart says it's been all hands on deck for the last several days, and that multiple agencies, including the Breathitt County Sheriff's Office and Wolfe County Search and Rescue, are taking part in the search.
So we've utilized resources from KSP aircraft. We've used drones from multiple different sources. We've also used canines and people walking on foot through the hills, searching for any type of clues or evidence where somebody may have been. We've also used sonar to check waterways in close proximity to that residence as well. We've also used FLIR, which is a great technology to search for missing people.
Gayhart says, unfortunately, they have not found anything yet to indicate where Spicer could be. He adds, now that they've searched extensively near his home, they're expanding their search.
but we're never going to quit searching. The search may look a little different than what it does in the first 72 hours of a search, but however, we're never going to stop looking.
He says as each day passes, time works against law enforcement even more.
You think about a 10-year-old child who is, if he wandered away from the residence and is by himself walking through the forest, he's got no resources with him. So you're racing against the clock as far as getting him home safely.
But Gayhart doesn't want anyone to lose hope.
Keep hope alive. Keep prayers coming. We need all those that we can get right now.
And certainly a lot of prayers already being said. The community held a vigil on Friday to support Jaden Spicer's family. Anyone with information is asked to contact KSP's Post 13 or leave a tip on KSP's website, certainly hoping he will be found soon. Today is the last day the Kentucky Derby Festival is accepting applications for people who want to become race ambassadors for next year's mini and marathon. The race ambassador team will help keep those runners and walkers informed and motivated in the months leading up to the race. Ambassadors serve a one-year term. They're expected to attend committee meetings and race events. To learn more and apply, visit derbyfestivalmarathon.com. I know a lot of people, myself included, probably need some extra motivation if they plan on running that mini or marathon. Well, here's something fun that happened over the weekend. Whiskey Thief Distilling yesterday, they had people come out for a watch party for a local favorite, making it to the new level. The business held a watch party to celebrate the annual Nulu Bachfest goat racing. It was on ESPN. The original program aired back on July 31st, and we know those goats raced in March through Nulu. But hey, you can't go wrong with a big party to celebrate that big achievement and being on the big stage. They did just that with live music, goat-themed cocktails, and Bachfest branded clothing.
We're super excited, and everybody loves hanging out with the goats. It's just so fun. They're great little companions to have with us, and we, being here on Billy Goat and Nanny Goat Strut down here in Nulu, it's just really fun to kind of celebrate everything that our team does and the community that comes around for it.
And let's not forget the stars of the show there, the goats. You can bet they got plenty of love too, and I'm sure interesting to see how much those baby goats that we saw racing on the TVs, how much they've grown up. They're so cute. Yesterday, the West End Farmers Market held a back-to-school market day. The event featured free school physicals, backpack supplies, and live performances. There were also free games, crafts, and a photo booth. Organizers were thrilled with the turnout, and they're excited about the growth of future farmers market events.
California has been coming, they've been showing up, they've been showing out, they're participating, they're engaging, and it's making me feel like it's not all for nothing, it's worth it. No matter, what happens to me or however this goes in my hands, I know that the community is gonna forever want this.
The West End Farmers Market takes place every 2 weeks at California Park. The last opportunity to catch it this year will be on October 5th. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with a look at what you can expect to see out of Washington this week. That's coming up in about 2 minutes. Well, a busy week in Washington coming up with a major tariff deadline. President Trump looking to announce a new plan to make the nation's capital even safer, too. Wave Washington correspondent Ryan Henson has your week ahead in Washington.
With Congress remaining on recess until after Labor Day, it's a busy week ahead for President Donald Trump. On Monday, the president will hold a press conference detailing new efforts to try and secure Washington. Trump, who surged federal law enforcement officers to the nation's capital last week for 7 days, has threatened to take control of the city if local government can't get crime under control, despite data showing violent crime hit a 30-year low last year. It comes after a Department of Government Efficiency staffer was carjacked and beaten last week. Two 15-year-old suspects have since been taken into custody. Also this week, another tariff deadline, this time with China. Tuesday is Trump's self-imposed deadline to reach a new trade deal with China before new tariffs would go into effect. However, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says he expects Trump to extend the deadline another 90 days. And Trump welcomes Russian President Vladimir Putin to the U.S. Friday with hopes of ending the 3.5-year war in Ukraine. Trump announced the meeting this past Friday. It's set to take place in Alaska. That's your weekend in Washington. I'm Ryan Henson.
The IRS has started sharing sensitive taxpayer data with immigration authorities searching for undocumented migrants. The data sharing began this week after a push from the Trump administration. Records being shared include names, addresses, and tax data of immigrants. The information will help the Department of Homeland Security track down people it says are already facing deportation orders. Well, you'll likely need to pay more to send packages through the Postal Service this holiday season. That's according to a notice filed with the Postal Regulatory Commission. The Postal Service says it plans to temporarily increase the price for some services to help cover extra handling costs to ensure a successful peak season. The higher cost will cover Priority Mail Express, Priority Mail, and USPS Ground Advantage. No other products, including stamps, would be affected. Two microchip giants, NVIDIA and Advanced Micro Devices, have agreed to pay the federal government 15% of their revenues from semiconductor sales to China. In exchange, the two companies will obtain export licenses to sell more chips to China. That's a reversal for the White House, which had imposed tough U.S. restrictions on chip sales to Beijing. It's unclear how the Trump administration will use the money it gets from those two chip makers. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back, actually, with some sports headlines, including a really impressive run by some girls from Southern Indiana in the Little League Softball World Series. Well, it was a fun weekend for sports here in the Ville, especially at Lynn Family Stadium for Fill the Fam night. Lou City faced off against at the time, first place Charleston over the weekend in front of their second largest crowd ever. Wave Sports reporter Dusty Baker sat down with striker Phil Goodrum, talking about what they were expecting going into this game, plus his role in leading the boys in purple this season.
First of all, let's talk about your season. Take me through how you feel you've grown over the course of this year.
Yeah, it's been my first full season with Louisville City, and I really love it here. I've settled in. It feels like home now. Recently, the goals have been falling my way. The team's rolling, so we just got to carry that momentum into tomorrow.
You're a regional guy. You're not from Louisville, but you are at least tied to this region. Talk about what it's like to play in Louisville for Lou City.
Yeah, you know, I'm a Southern boy, so it feels like home, and I was born in Nashville. I have a lot of family there, so it's cool having family pop over for a game on a Saturday and getting to see where I live and see our beautiful stadium.
And around this time last year, you scored your first goal against none other than Charleston Battery. Yeah. This time around, you're facing them again in what is probably the biggest match of the season thus far.
Yeah, last year I think I got here, if not this same week, really close to it a year ago, and it was all about prepping for this game against the Battery. And I was lucky enough to come on and score a goal against Charleston in my debut. We were in a similar situation, both teams near the top of the standings, and this year it's even tighter. This is a huge game, and it's going to have implications for the regular season and how that finishes out, but also we want to let them know that, you know, this is not a place that they want to come back in the playoffs. You know, it might not be a rivalry geographically, but this feels like a rivalry game, Charleston and Louisville.
And it was a great game, too. Lou City ends up winning this one 4-1. Huge win for them there, and a very impressive crowd with about 13,000 fans. Certainly that support made the difference there. Well, from soccer, let's switch over to softball. You know I'm a big softball fan here. We want to give a huge shout out to the team from Floyd Snobs, Indiana. Made it all the way to the championship game of the Little League Softball World Series, and they were the first Indiana team to ever make it to the championship game. Let's get you some of those highlights here because it was a really close pitcher's duel. They ultimately dropped this one 1-0, and here is that lone RBI there. It was a base hit up the middle in the fourth inning. Floyd Snobs had a chance to take the lead at the top of the fifth inning, but a great catch ended a bases-loaded threat. But despite that loss, the team had groups of fans cheering them on across Kentucky and southern Indiana.
Like, I'm proud of them. Yeah. And it's like fun watching them.
Yeah, I love watching them on TV.
They're really fun, but like,
they're really nice and funny.
Yeah.
They're fun to play with.
The team is expected to return to Floyd Snobs sometime this afternoon. A big congratulations to those girls because they were still so impressive out there. We are still so proud of them. And as a softball coach, I can tell you they definitely have a great future ahead of them on the diamond. Turning now to football, where the Cards are getting ready for their first game of the season at the end of the month. Coaches say they're excited about an experienced running back room that includes Isaac Brown, breakout star Duke Watson, and returner Kevon Brown. The three running backs say they all have high expectations for themselves this season.
He's a good coach. Like, he'll push you. Like, he'll make jokes on us, but like when it's time, game time, like he'll be serious. He'll give us a speech that make you want to cry.
He just really taught us, like, give us what we need on and off the field. Like, taught us about God and stuff. You know, like, just push us to be better men.
We're more comfortable in our skin this year. Well, we see the game a little more different, so I feel like it'll be definitely a different type of playing field out there this year for us.
And checking in on that countdown, we are now 19 days away from the Cards' first home game. They will host Eastern Kentucky on Saturday, August 30th. That game is at 3 p.m. After being selected in the second round by the New Orleans Saints, former Cards quarterback Tyler Shuck made his NFL debut for the Saints against the Los Angeles Chargers in preseason. First, he led the Saints down the field before the half, leading to a field goal, but that you see right there, yeah, a pick six in the second half. Shuck threw to Mason Tipton for his first professional touchdown pass of his career. He goes the length of the field there. He finished his day completing 15 of 22 passes for 165 yards with that touchdown and the interception. The Saints ultimately dropped this one to the Chargers 27-13. Well, you would have seen a record broken on Saturday night in the NFL if it wasn't the preseason. The NFL's longest made kick is 66 yards by former Ravens kicker Justin Tucker in 2021. But what you saw right there, Jacksonville's Cam Little made a 70-yard field goal to end the first half, and the Jaguars' 31-25 loss to the Steelers. That kick would have set the new record by 4 yards, but, you know, it's preseason. Unfortunately, it doesn't count. Going into his second season, Little's current longest made field goal in the regular season game is 59 yards, but clearly we know now that he can crush that, so we'll have to wait until the regular season to see if he can do that and get it in the record books. Also on Saturday, history was made in the MLB. Jen Powell became the first woman to umpire and officiate a Major League Baseball game. She worked first base in the Braves game against the Miami Marlins, but players on both teams welcomed her, and so did the fans at Truist Park. Some held up signs that said, "Thank you, Jen," from girls and women everywhere. Powell made her pro umpiring debut in the Gulf Coast League in 2016. She was the 7th woman to umpire in the minor leagues before her call-up on Saturday. After the game, she said her dreams came true.
This morning, I'm like, we just got to get out there now. We got to do this and make some calls, because you know, just all the emotion and stuff, talking about it the past few days since the news broke, and just having it as a dream for 10 years. You know, the dream came true today, and it's just been incredible.
Yesterday, she finished off the weekend calling balls and strikes from behind the plate. I looked up her umpire scorecard. It looks like she had 91% correct there, which is just about a tiny bit lower than the average when it comes to all umpires in Major League Baseball. The average is about 94%. So that 94% also includes the veterans who have been doing this for so long. So it looks like she is doing just fine, already off to a great start, and we are so excited to see where her career takes her. Well, that's all the time we have here for Sunrise Extra. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope you have a great Monday and a great week ahead.